Right bracket Chapter 6. Utah Valley's Dream Mine. Yields a 24 KT. Controversy. By Monte. This article was printed in Monte magazine, Monday, January 13, 1975, pages 16 to 17. Utah Valley's Dream Mine. Yields a 24 KT. Controversy. By Monte. Monday magazine writer. A crisp wintry wind cuts through the sagebrush and briskly works its way from Salem to Payson, Utah. Norman Pierce, gray-haired tousling in the wind, sport jacket flapping like a ship's sails, points his finger at the farmland terrain. "There's where the old Nephite highway ran from the Dream Mine to the smelter over in Payson Canyon," he says. Pierce, a former schoolteacher and author of a book called The Dream Mine Story, is just one of many people who for the past 7 decades have been fascinated by Utah County's so-called Dream Mine. In recent months, however, interest in the mine has taken on new dimensions with links to gold, the dollar's decline, and, yes, spaceships and legends of the Hopi Indians. Where did it all begin? It started near the turn of the century with the dream of John Coyle. Coyle, Spanish Fork's man of predictions, had established himself long before anyone had heard of Gian Dixon, or most folks in Spanish Fork right bracket knew the meaning of Spanish pesetas. Bishop Coyle, he served as an LDS bishop in Spanish Fork for many years, often had visitors at his door who wanted to know about a son's well-being in the trenches of France, or the future of the economy during the dark days of the Depression. His dream about the mine in the hills of Salem, however, led to his being accused of fraud and deception, and his ultimate excommunication from the LDS Church. What were the details of this dream which carried so heavy a penalty? Coyle claimed to have received precise information about the location of a rich lode in the mountains near Salem, Utah. This ore, Coyle declared, was located in an ancient mine tracing back to the Nephites of the Book of Mormon. Coyle said he had seen in a vision 9 large rooms from which the ore had been mined. In these rooms, he claimed, was gold, both mined, refined and coined. From 1894 to the present, Coyle's Dream Mine, from time to time, has been the center of debate. Indeed, there has been much controversy, but no gold. Thousands of people bought stock in the mine. Some believed in Coyle's prophecies, not only about the mine, but also predictions about the building of White City in the foothills near the mine. It would be, Coyle said, a gathering place for the elect in the last days. Still others purchased stock without accepting Coyle's far-reaching revelations. These were men such as the late Douglas Dixon, a Payson businessman who became a director in the company, as did Raymond Steele, a Goshen schoolteacher and historian. The late James E. Talmage, LDS apostle and geologist, entered into the Dream Mine debate. In 1928, Dr. Talmage rendered a scientific opinion that the mine would never be capable of producing valuable ore of any kind. Yet, the more tenacious of the Dream Mine followers continued to hang on, despite John Coyle's excommunication from the LDS Church, and the subsequent failure of the mine to produce gold. New chapter. This past September, however, a new chapter in the Dream Mine story began with the arrival in Utah County of Paul Solom, sometimes referred to as the Flying Saucer Prophet. Solom is not actually associated with the officers of the Relief Mine Company, the current official name of the Dream Mine. But he shows an intense interest in the old Coyle story. Solom, whose record of alleged contact with UFOs goes back to his ranch in Howe, Idaho, in 1948, reports he was told by his contacts from outer space to hold 5 meetings near the Dream Mine. The so-called celestial visitors, he says, would hover 150 feet above the mine. According to Solom, the full purpose of the visits from outer space will be revealed at a later date. It seems clear to Solom that a connection exists between the Dream Mine visit and an earlier experience he had with the Hopi Indians in 1970. He claims contacts with the Venusians led him to Hopeville, Arizona, where he met Chief Dan Kachongwa, a 108-year-old leader of the Hopi Sun clan. Flying saucers are legendary among many Hopi Indians. In fact, they believe they were led northward into what is now the United States by the Kachinas, powerful and intelligent beings from another planet. In 1970, shortly after Paul Solom's arrival in Hopeville, UFOs were reportedly sighted over Prescott, Arizona. One eyewitness was Joe Cross, editor of the Prescott Courier. Cross, not a man easily taken in, reported he saw an right bracket object in the sky. It maneuvered, Cross said, hovered and then disappeared. It changed colors from a white to a reddish orange, to a purplish blue and a reddish white, and then it was gone, Cross claimed. Pictures on stone. This appearance was not surprising to Chief Dan, who said, "We have seen the flying saucers and have heard their message to us. We know they are real because their pictures were drawn upon stone for all to see." Perhaps, say Solemn's followers, etching in stone at the dream mine so-called hieroglyphics discounted by many observers provide the link between the saucer prophet's stay with the Hopis and his coming to the dream mine. Solemn believes there may be some connection, but he is not certain. "All I know," he says, "was I was told of 5 passes." On October 20, 1974, about 6,000 people showed up at the dream mine site, but, Solemn said, because of the weather, there was no appearance. On November 10, he continued, some fast passes were made. On December 8, 1974, Solemn and his UFO enthusiasts returned to the dream mine site. Snow had fallen on the road to the mine, and the way to the gathering spot was slippery and cold. The large bonfire was a welcome sight to the 60 or so faithful who had met to await the mysterious meanderings of the extraterrestrial visitors. This and a similar gathering on December 15 produced eyewitnesses who claimed to have seen UFOs above the mine and strange objects in the sky. Many of these people are down-to-earth people like Springville's Frank Holly. Holly also claims to have seen a flying saucer with Solemn on Thanksgiving evening, 1974. Utah's UFOs. Even the more cynical might experience a moment of wonderment when Solemn's descriptions about right-bracket UFOs are related with what biologist Frank Salisbury has written in his book, The Utah UFO Display. In this book, Salisbury presents a systematic study of UFO sightings in the Uinta Basin area. He subjects his study to a rigorous scientific investigation, and his interviews with witnesses demonstrate the thoroughness of his approach. Salisbury classified the reliability of his witnesses as excellent, maintains that the findings are hardly a psychological phenomena, and concludes it is virtually inconceivable that the Uinta Basin UFO sightings are a hoax. Says he, "I believe I have been forced into it by the data on hand, that the people of the Uinta Basin have indeed seen real objects I cannot explain in terms of any of the artifacts of man or the natural events known to this science. I cannot think of any reasonable explanation of the objects sighted in the Uinta Basin, except extraterrestrial machines." But why the Uinta Basin, Salisbury asks. Here he concludes, "Science leaves us, and we can only make the purest of conjectures with no assurance whatsoever of their validity. Have they been making a survey? Too confident." Where science leaves us, and where Salisbury drops any conjectures, Paul Solemn enters with alacrity. His voice is devoid of hesitancies, and he speaks with much assurance. That may be why some find it hard to believe him. He sounds too confident, it is said. He believes the surveys are being made by visitors who represent the 10 lost tribes of Israel. Utah, he says, plays a vital role in their return. And the dream mine, while Solemn is not yet sure of its ultimate role in the scheme of things, will supposedly link everything together in some logical way.